How does one really smart high school student go from wanting to protect his disabled sister to completely abandoning her and taking over the entire world? In this video, we are going to break down the entire story of one of the most beloved anime of all time, Code Geass. Code Geass takes place in Japan, but it's not the Japan that you and I know. In this world, Japan has been taken over by the Britannian Empire. This empire stripped Japanese people of their homeland, their rights, and even their names. Japan is renamed Area 11, and all Japanese people are known as 11s. There's a huge amount of racism against 11s, who are now seen as low and unworthy. Britannia nobles have moved into parts of Japan, while 11s are forced to live in the ghettos. As you can guess, Japanese people are pretty pissed about this situation. There's a lot of tension between 11s and Britannians, and some brave souls take this anger to the next level. Resistance groups have popped up all around the country, made up of Japanese people fighting to reclaim their homeland and identity. This is the political landscape that our main characters are thrown into when the story begins, 8 years after the conquest of Japan. At the start of Code Geass, Area 11 is overseen by Prince Clovis, third prince of the royal family, but not for long. Episode 1, The Day a New Demon Was Born, starts with a flashback. Lelouch Lamperouge and his childhood friend Suzaku Kururugi are just little kids when Japan is taken over by the Britannian Empire. Years later, Lelouch is now living as a Britannian in Japan, now known as Area 11, and well, he's not exactly the Empire's biggest fan. Actually, he straight up wants to destroy it. Well, he might just get the chance to try. It all starts when Lelouch investigates a crashed truck in Shinjuku and accidentally gets trapped inside. See, this Britannian truck was stolen by rebels. What's inside?
Chemical weapons. In other words, poison gas.
It's poison? Obviously, the Britannians want it back, so they send out their biggest, baddest weapons, agile mechs called nightmare frames. These mechs are incredibly useful, and they're a big reason why Britannia was able to conquer Japan. Suddenly, Lelouch is trapped in an all-out battle between these massive mechs and the Japanese rebels. Lelouch tries to get the hell out of there, but it's too late. The moment he leaves the truck, he's attacked by a Britannian soldier, who turns out to be none other than his childhood friend Suzaku. What a crazy coincidence! Their heartwarming reunion is cut short when the container that's carrying the so-called poison opens and reveals a green-haired girl in a straitjacket. What the... But there's no time to explain. Suzaku's backup arrives and orders him to kill Lelouch. Fortunately for our hero, Suzaku's sense of right and wrong is pretty damn strong. He's not about to kill an innocent bystander, so he refuses to follow orders. This goes about as well as you'd expect. Lelouch tries to make a run for it with the green-haired girl, but it's no use. The Britannian soldiers catch up quickly and start shooting at him. Hey, this is a 50-episode anime. You know he isn't supposed to die here, right? The mysterious girl leaps in front of Lelouch, saving him. Just when Lelouch thinks all hope is lost, the girl reaches up and grabs his arm. And then things get really weird. The girl seems to talk to Lelouch inside of his mind. She offers him a deal. She'll give him immense power if he helps her fulfill a wish. Well, it's not like Lelouch really has a choice here, so of course he accepts. The girl gives Lelouch the power of Geass, and there's only one way to find out what it does. Lelouch doesn't mess around. He just orders the soldiers to die, and they freaking do it. They point their guns at their own heads and unalive themselves while smiling. Well then, that worked surprisingly well. Apparently, the Geass gives Lelouch the power to command others to follow any order. Lelouch is horrified for all of about 2 seconds, and then he realizes this is exactly the kind of power he needed to bring down the Britannian Empire. There's absolutely no way this can go wrong, right? In episode 2, the White Knight awakens. Lelouch is enjoying his cool new powers, but he's still trapped inside what's now a war zone. Getting out will need some smarts, and luckily, he's got plenty of those. Step 1 is to acquire a nightmare frame from a passing pilot. With the power of the Geass, this is child's play. Step 2 is to help the Japanese resistance fighters win against Britannia. Lelouch now has a Britannian weapon and a resistance fighter radio he grabbed from the truck. It's time to play a little chess. Oh, and Lelouch is very good at chess. One by one, Lelouch instructs the fighters on what to do and where to go. He starts with a fiery red-haired girl named Kallen, who seems oddly familiar to Lelouch. Kallen and her team are the underdogs here, and they could use all of the help that they can get. Within moments, Lelouch leads them to a little gift, an entire train full of Britannian nightmare frames. These are so much better than the dinky old mechs the Resistance has been using. Now, they actually have a chance. Lelouch commands the Resistance fighters from the shadows and wins battle after battle, with a little help from his own nightmare frame, of course. As the battle gets more heated, the fabulous Prince Clovis gets involved. He's the third prince and current ruler of Area 11, and he's not about to let some 11 terrorists best him. So, he enters the fight, but from the sidelines, where he can tell people what to do and not actually get his hands dirty. Typical prince. Clovis underestimates Lelouch's strategic thinking though, and lets his forces fall right into a trap. Okay, dang. Clearly Lelouch is drunk on power. Maybe it's time to take him down a few notches.
My plan worked, didn't it?
Lelouch is served a large slice of humble pie by the Special Research Arm of the Army, the Britannian Special Corps. The Special Corps are made up of a soft-spoken woman and a mad scientist-looking guy, and they work on the most powerful experimental nightmare frames for the Britannian Empire. They send in their secret weapon, a brand new, super shiny white and gold frame called Lancelot, and it's driven by none other than Suzaku. He's a little banged up, but definitely not dead. The Lancelot slices through the resistance fighters like butter, then goes after Lelouch's mech. Suzaku has no idea it's Lelouch he's facing, but still, these two guys can't stop fighting. Luckily, Kallen steps in and saves Lelouch. Thanks to her, Lelouch has just enough time to get away. Well, thanks to her and to Suzaku for stopping to save an innocent bystander. What a good guy! Lelouch has more important things to do anyway. Disguised as a Britannian soldier and using his Geass, Lelouch gets into Prince Clovis's personal transport. He forces the prince to issue a ceasefire to his troops. Then, he takes off his disguise and reveals his massive secret. Lelouch Lamperouge is also known as Lelouch v. Britannia, 17th in line to the imperial throne of Britannia. He's the emperor's son and Clovis's half-brother. Whoa! Lelouch is back, baby, and he's here to shake things up. In episode 3, The False Classmate, we learn more about Lelouch's tragic backstory. When Lelouch was little, his mother was brutally killed right in front of him. The official story is that it was the work of terrorists, but Lelouch knows something else is up. So in the present, he uses the Geass to ask Clovis who was really behind her death. Clovis says he doesn't know anything about it. Lelouch believes him and then kills him anyway. Sorry, half-bro, it's nothing personal. War is war. The next day, Lelouch goes right back to his Britannian school, the prestigious Ashford Academy. Like nothing happened. All the other students are being typical teenagers, but they're also talking about the fighting that happened last night. The news makes it sound like it was all the terrorists' fault, and they're hiding that the prince is dead. I wonder what they're up to. In between all of this, Lelouch realizes why that red-haired girl Kallen from the Resistance was so familiar. She goes to his freaking school! Lelouch uses his Geass power to find out why she's fighting with the Resistance, and then he commands her to forget everything that happened yesterday. It doesn't work. And that, friends, is how he realizes he can only use the Geass power once per person. Oh, whoops! Guess he's really gotta make it count. After school, Lelouch returns home to his sister, Nunnally, who was shot in the same attack that claimed their mother's life, and is now wheelchair-bound and blind. None of this stops her from being the purest, sweetest girl in the world, though. She's also Lelouch's entire reason for fighting. He wants to build a better world for her. Later that day, the news finally breaks that Prince Clovis is dead, and they've arrested the man that they think murdered him, Suzaku Kururugi. This guy just can't catch a break, huh? Episode 4, His Name is Zero, starts with Suzaku being interrogated by Jeremiah Gottwald, the blue-haired commander that Lelouch fought during the attack. Suzaku is sorta caught between both sides. Britannia loves him because he proves that 11s can't be trusted, so they're totally right to look down on them. 11s love him because they see him as a hero. Either way, he's kinda screwed. Lelouch can't stand by and watch his friend take the fall for something he did, so he gets the help of Kallen and her companions, who are now led by the serious and seriously poofy-haired Kaname Ogi. Lelouch invites the rebels to a train and introduces himself as Zero, the caped, masked crusader. Ooh, so mysterious. He makes Kallen and her friends a promise. He will show them his power by saving Suzaku. Later that day, Suzaku is being transported as a prisoner to his trial. People line the streets to watch, and it's being streamed live to everyone at home. Basically, it is a whole huge parade, and Suzaku is the main attraction. What's Lelouch supposed to do to stop this procession? It's not like he can just roll up to the transport and ask them nicely to let Suzaku go, right? Oh, wait, he sorta literally can. And Lelouch loves a good show, so that's exactly what he does. He has Kallen drive right up to the transport and makes a dramatic appearance. He announces that he killed Prince Clovis. Then, he claims he has the poison gas from the truck, and he's willing to exchange it for Suzaku. That's super ballsy, even with his special powers. Of course, there is no poison gas, but Jeremiah and most of the people here don't know that. To him, it's the choice between one life and the lives of many innocent people. Lelouch saves him the trouble of making a decision. He commands Jeremiah with the Geass to do everything in his power to let Suzaku go. And also, just to be on the safe side, Lelouch implies that if Jeremiah doesn't cooperate, Lelouch will tell everyone about Orange.
You don't wish the public to learn of Orange, do you?
What the hell is Orange? Absolutely nothing. Lelouch made it up to make him sound suspicious. But now, this poor dude will be forever known in both the anime and the fandom as Orange Boy. Way to go, Lelouch! Jeremiah lets Suzaku go, and Lelouch releases the gas anyway. It turns out to just be a literal smokescreen, which lets him get away safely. Still disguised as Zero, Lelouch gives Suzaku a chance to join the Resistance, and he flat out refuses. He disagrees with Lelouch's methods, so he's going to his own trial. He'd rather die than use force to bring about change. Well, all that was for nothing. And then, just before the episode ends, Nunnally is visited by a mysterious guest, the green-haired girl from earlier. When Lelouch gets home in episode 5, Nunnally and the green-haired girl are crafting? Well, that's adorable. Lelouch isn't fooled by the newcomer's innocent act, so he drags her to his bedroom and confronts her. Her name is C, but it's pronounced C2 because it's two C's, I guess? Don't question it. Anyway, C2 refuses to answer any of Lelouch's questions. The military is after her, but that's okay. She'll just stay here with Lelouch. Wait, what? Nah, it's too late. Have fun sleeping on the floor, bud. The next day, Suzaku is freed on lack of evidence. Britannia didn't want to make any mistakes with the whole nation watching after all. As he's leaving the court building, a pretty young woman literally falls out of the sky. This pink-haired, polite young lady introduces herself as Euphy, and she tells Suzaku she's being chased by bad guys, and then immediately gets distracted by a cat. Well, okay then. That's normal. The truth is, Euphy isn't being chased. She's just a Britannian on her last day of vacation, so she wants to see as much of Area 11 as she can. Won't Suzaku pretty please show her around? After a whole day of seeing the sights, Euphy asks to be escorted to Shinjuku. Fresh war zones aren't my idea of a tourist attraction, but who am I to judge? While there, the two stumble onto Jeremiah getting attacked by his fellow Britannians. They want to punish him for letting Zero and Suzaku go. Suzaku gets into his Lancelot mech and tries to stop the squabble. They're all on the same side, aren't they? In the middle of this massive mech fight, Euphy runs in between them. She commands them to stop fighting, and they do, because Euphy isn't just some tourist, she's a princess. In episode 6, The Stolen Mask, Suzaku arrives at Ashford Academy as a transfer student. Apparently, turning himself in earned him some major brownie points with the Empire. As you can imagine, his Britannian classmates don't feel too warmly toward the Japanese dude who was accused of murdering their prince. As a result, Suzaku is bullied and left out by the other students. Meanwhile, Lelouch is tinkering with his mask when a black cat wanders in. The little hooligan knocks the mask onto its own head, where it promptly gets stuck. It looks like Zero has transformed into a cat. No. Lelouch cannot have a silly little cat give away his secret identity. He chases after it through the school grounds. The other student council members hear about it and they're super intrigued. What could a cat have that would be so important Lelouch will go tearing after it like that? They think it's something childish, like an embarrassing picture. So they announce to the entire school that whoever catches the cat will get a kiss from one of the student council members. That sets the entire student body on the case. Everyone wants a little kiss from their favorite council member, and all the council members are desperate to protect their lips. Even the serious Kallen. It's adorable. In the end, it all comes down to Lelouch and Suzaku. With the whole school watching, they chase the cat to the top of a tower. They're climbing up the side of the roof when Lelouch slides down to the edge, about to fall off. Suzaku doesn't hesitate though. He rushes down and saves his friend. Meanwhile, the silly cat manages to knock the mask off of its head. Whew! Lelouch's secret is safe. Suzaku just saved Lelouch in front of the entire school. He's not an accused assassin anymore. He's a hero. The whole mess helps Suzaku become accepted by his schoolmates and earns him a spot on the student council. And as a sweet bonus, both Lelouch and Suzaku get their promised reward, a kiss on the cheek from honorary student council member Nunnally. Aww! In episode 7, Attack Cornelia, Lelouch's opponent is the purple-haired Viceroy Cornelia, second princess of the imperial family. She's after Zero, and she doesn't care who she tramples on the way to get him. Cornelia sets a trap that Zero couldn't possibly resist. She recreates what happened in Shinjuku in another Japanese neighborhood, Saitama. Basically, she sends soldiers in and tells them to start just killing people. Damn, she's ruthless. Your move, Lelouch. Lelouch takes the bait, of course. How could he not? He enters the neighborhood and borrows a nightmare frame from a pilot. Then he starts giving commands to the Saitama resistance fighters. But this isn't like last time. Cornelia knows what to expect, and things don't go according to Lelouch's plans. The more the Saitama resistance fighters fail, the less they listen to Zero's orders. Lelouch loses control of his allies as he struggles to keep them safe. He can still try to take out Cornelia though. Cornelia orders the rest of her troops to retreat to her, so Lelouch blends in with them using his stolen frame. For the first time since we've met him, Lelouch makes a huge mistake. He's walked right into Cornelia's trap. She knows Zero must be hiding among her soldiers, so she gives them an order that'll force Zero to reveal himself.
Open your hatches and reveal your faces!
Cornelia!
One by one, the nightmares open their hatches. Lelouch realizes that once they get to him, he'll have no choice but to expose himself. He's completely cornered. But right when it's his turn to open his mech's hatch, someone dressed as Zero appears nearby. But how? The imposter jumps away and chaos erupts. Lelouch uses the confusion to get away safely. He finds his doppelganger in an underground tunnel. It's C2. Don't get me wrong, she didn't save Lelouch because she cares about him. She saved him because he still owes her a wish. The entire experience was a reminder that Lelouch is just a kid in an adult war. He can't keep fighting at a disadvantage. If he wants to go up against Cornelia and the rest of the Imperial family, he's gonna need an army. In episode 8, The Black Knights, the girls from the student council are off on a field trip to Lake Kawaguchi. It's about time we formally meet Lelouch's friends. We have the dependable Shirley Finette. She's Lelouch's close friend and gives off strong girl next door vibes. She also has a huge crush on Lelouch. Then we have the mature but playful Millie Ashford, student council president and an older sister figure to her classmates. Yes, that's the same Ashford as the Ashford Academy. Her grandpa pretty much owns the school. And finally, there's the mousy, bespectacled Nina Einstein, who's terrified of Japanese people. Unfortunately, their relaxing trip is cut short when all the Britannians in their hotel are taken hostage by an extremist Japanese group calling themselves the Japan Liberation Front, or JLF for short. Cornelia would rush in to take out the terrorists, hostages be damned, but there's one problem. Her sister, Princess Euphemia, is among them. Meanwhile, Lelouch and Ogi's resistance groups are hanging out at their new hideout, a souped-up vehicle that Lelouch borrowed from a noble. Sheesh! It's like he's only using this Geass power to get himself sweet rides. They see the hostage situation on the news and jump to action. They might be Japanese, but they can't watch innocent civilians getting killed, even if they're Britannians. And they start by, can you guess? That's right, borrowing a news van and driving right on in. While Lelouch has a little chat with the JLF leader, Suzaku gears up in the Lancelot. The idea is to sink the hotel from below, then rescue the hostages in all of the confusion. Back in the hostage room, Euphemia has had enough. She reveals herself as the princess and demands to see the group's leader. At the same moment, the leader decides he's through with talking and lunges at Lelouch with his sword drawn. Yeah, Lelouch tends to have that effect on people. Lelouch manages to call out a one-word order with his Geass.
There's no point talking anymore! Die.
Euphemia shows up with her captors just in time to see an entire room full of dead terrorists, with Zero in the middle of them. Don't worry, Lelouch assures her he had nothing to do with it. Seems legit. But now that she's here, Lelouch remembers he's on a mission to kill all of the Emperor's children, and that might include Euphemia. At the same time, Suzaku finally manages to bring down the hotel. Success! But before he can rush in to save the hostages, Lelouch detonates an explosive of his own. And then Lelouch does what he does best. He puts on a show. He uses the news van he stole to broadcast a message. good guy Lelouch saved all the hostages, including Euphemia. With the crisis averted and the whole nation watching, Lelouch introduces himself and his resistance fighters, the Black Knights. They all have matching masks and outfits now. That's so cute. Lelouch announces that he refuses to watch the strong kill the weak just because they can. He, along with the Black Knights, will protect the weak. Episode 9. Refrain kicks off 2 weeks after the events at Lake Kawaguchi. Back at school, things are back to normal, more or less. Kallen and Lelouch, though, are now living double lives. By day, they're normal teenagers going to school, but at night, they're part of the Black Knights, the new heroes of the Japanese people. The Black Knights have made it their mission to defend the weak, and it's keeping them pretty busy. They're basically Batman. One day, Student Council President Millie stops by Kallen's house to drop off her school transcript. She wants to be discreet about it because it reveals Kallen's secret, half Japanese. Kallen's home situation is, complicated. Her stepmother is Britannian, but her real mom is Japanese, and also her maid. Look, I told you it was complicated, because she just can't understand why someone would cling to a terrible life as a maid with a daughter who hates her. If only there was something Kallen could do about that. At night, Kallen joins the Black Knights on another vigilante run. This time, they're taking down a distribution center of a new called Refrain. This makes people hallucinate about their happiest memories, and a ton of Japanese people are now getting hooked on it. Their real life is pretty terrible, so it's not a surprise. Kallen, piloting her own nightmare, breaks through to the back, where she finds people high on the Among them is her own mother, looking pretty pathetic. You can't help but feel bad for her, but Kallen's just mad. Still, when the police rush in to stop the Black Knights, Kallen risks her life to save her mom. Kallen's mom tells her why she stayed in this terrible situation. For her. Aw, man, that's sad. In the end, Kallen's mom and the rest of the addicts are sentenced to 20 years in prison. Kallen vows that by the time her mom is released, she will make the world a better place for her. In episode 10, Guden Dances, the Black Knights get some shiny new nightmare frames from some other rebels in Kyoto. These include an awesome Guden Mark II, which their best pilot Kallen gets to use. Lelouch takes the gang up to the Narita mountains to take a hike. What? While they're up there, Lelouch has them put a bunch of electrodes into the side of the mountain, but he won't tell them why. Seems sus. C2 comes along, but she's as cryptic as ever. She's there to protect him, but mostly she just says mysterious things.
Snow is white because it's forgotten what color it's supposed to be.
When the Black Knights start getting antsy, Lelouch finally reveals why they're here. Our old friends, the Japan Liberation Front, are hiding out here. Cornelia, Euphemia, and their army are coming up here to take them out. Lelouch plans to use this chance to capture Cornelia. The Black Knights want out, but oops! Cornelia's already here, and the only way out is to fight. They'll just have to trust Lelouch. Not to worry though, all those electrodes that they planted are actually a big trap. Kallen uses the Guden to set them off. This triggers a massive landslide, sweeping many of the Britannian forces right off the mountain. Cornelia realizes the JLF isn't smart enough to set a trap like this. This must be Zero's doing. When Zero makes himself known, Jeremiah rushes in to attack him. It's, kinda personal.
Orange boy.
Kallen steps in on her Guden and completely destroys Jeremiah's nightmare frame. That thing didn't stand a chance. Jeremiah auto-ejects at the last moment, but the damage is done. Zero and his Black Knights have won this fight, and they're coming for Cornelia next. Episode 11 continues the battle for Narita. With some help from JLF backup, Lelouch and the Black Knights force Cornelia to retreat. Lelouch won't let her get away that easily though. He tracks her down and attacks. But before he can land a killing blow, Suzaku rushes in on the Lancelot to rescue Cornelia. Lelouch has his own ace in a cool mech. Kallen and her Gurren face off against the Lancelot. The Gurren is damaged in the battle, and Lelouch decides it's time for a strategic retreat. While the others are getting the hell out of there, Lelouch stays behind to confront the Lancelot. This is a good time to remember that Lelouch as Zero and Suzaku in the Lancelot have no idea that they're going against their own childhood friend. Lelouch looks tiny next to this massive mech, and he even seems scared for the first time since we met him. Before anything happens though, C2 walks in. Did you forget about her? Unlike Lelouch, she has no fear. She just walks right up to the huge Lancelot and puts a hand on it. Then she does some magic. Literally, whatever she does sends Suzaku into some sort of existential crisis. While Suzaku is having a mental breakdown, Lelouch tries to get C2 to leave with him. But when he touches her, something breaks. Suddenly, Lelouch is flooded with horrible visions of pain and death. These are her memories? Suzaku seems to be experiencing the same thing and then starts shooting at random. So C2 protects Lelouch again. Her body takes a whole lot of damage that would kill a normal person 5 times over. Lelouch takes C2 to a nearby cave and tries to tend to her wounds, but they've already healed. What is C2 anyway? Actually, she doesn't really remember anything about her past. While she's half conscious, she talks in her sleep and reveals her name. It's, how do you spell the sound of a droplet falling into water?
That's your name, isn't it?
So yeah, I guess her name is... Okay, we don't get to hear her real name, but now Lelouch knows it and C2 likes that he knows it. Okay. Kallen, who was worried about Zero, finds them in the cave and meets C2 for the first time. Before they leave, Lelouch realizes that C2 is the snow that doesn't remember its color. This show is so deep. Also, Suzaku is rescued by the Special Corps, but his mind is still broken, and Jeremiah survived getting flung out of his nightmare, but barely. He's found alive, but hurt and delirious, collapsing on a road and swearing he's not orange. Poor dude. In episode 12, The Messenger from Kyoto, love is in the air. Lelouch's close friend Shirley manages to invite him to a concert happening that night. Finally! C2 watches the interaction and seems almost jealous. Even the mousy Nina has a crush, and it's Euphemia. Just thinking about the way Euphy stood up to the hostages makes Nina all hot and bothered. Meanwhile, the Black Knights get an invitation from the big shots in Kyoto. Lelouch's victory in Narita caught the attention of an organization that funds resistance groups around Japan. It's time for a field trip. The Black Knights travel to a secret base inside Mount Fuji to meet with Kyoto's group leader, a guy sitting cross-legged behind a screen. The leader demands that Zero show his face, which is pretty ridiculous coming from a dude hiding his own identity. Still, he commands Ogi to take off Zero's mask, and he does, revealing C2.
A woman? It can't be.
Yes, Lelouch has anticipated even this and sent C2 in his place. He's seriously always one step ahead of everyone. The real Zero makes a dramatic appearance as always. Surprise! He was posing as one of the Kyoto leader's own guards. With his back to the Black Knights, Lelouch shows his face to the Kyoto leader. Turns out they go way back. This guy knows Lelouch from when he was a little kid. The Kyoto group promises Lelouch and his army funding, proving that even in war, it's all about who you know. Lelouch returns home and heads out to meet Shirley for the concert, but something's happened. She's standing in the rain, crying her eyes out. Earlier that day, she had to go to Narita to identify the body of her father. He was crushed to death in the landslide that Lelouch caused during the battle. She breaks down and kisses Lelouch. So this protector of the weak has just indirectly killed the father of someone who loves him. What in the hell is he supposed to do with that? In episode 13, Shirley at gunpoint, Lelouch is sulking. It's a little late, but it finally hits him that people aren't just chess pieces he can control. His actions have consequences. Shocker. C2 just makes things worse. She tells him it's too late to turn back. Didn't he realize that all the people caught up in his war game have friends and families? Lelouch's whole reason for starting this war was so his little sister Nunnally can live in a better place. How much death does it take to bring about peace? Life goes on, and Cornelia moves on to her next target. She arrives at Port Yokosuka to destroy the Japan Liberation Front, this time for good. Pop quiz! After realizing his actions are killing innocent people, does Lelouch A. back down, or B. go even harder? Ding ding ding! Of course it's B, what are you talking about? He doesn't just head off Cornelia's troops. Lelouch obliterates the JLF with a bomb and lets the Black Knights think it was a suicide bombing just to lure Cornelia out. After all, this is a war, and war demands sacrifices. While Lelouch is on a rampage, Shirley is approached by Villetta New, a Britannian pilot with striking yellow eyes and a whip-like ponytail. Villetta was the very first pilot Lelouch used the Geass on, so she's the only one who saw Lelouch without his Zero getup. She recruits Shirley to investigate Lelouch for her, suspecting him of being involved with the Black Knights. Shirley doesn't believe Lelouch would have anything to do with the death of her father, so she follows Lelouch. This is why Shirley is there when Lelouch is about to finally take down Cornelia. Right when he's about to end Cornelia once and for all, Lelouch spots Shirley. He hesitates, giving Suzaku a chance to attack in the Lancelot and destroy Lelouch's nightmare. Zero's cockpit ejects and he lands, unconscious, right next to Shirley. She picks up his gun, which got thrown out in the rough landing, and aims it at Zero. Zero's mask then falls off, revealing Lelouch. In episode 14, Geass vs. Geass, Lelouch wakes up right where he landed in front of Shirley, only she's gone. Instead, he finds a lot of blood. He doesn't have his helmet on, so someone must have seen his identity, then either got hurt or hurt someone else. He needs to figure out who saw him, and fast. When he gets home to Ashford Academy, he remembers seeing Shirley just before he blacked out. He and C2 search Shirley's room and realize that Shirley's gone to Narita. In Narita, Shirley is visiting her father's memorial when a weirdo named Mao approaches her. He's got a sense of style even more flamboyant than Zero's, topped off with a ridiculous visor covering his eyes. He knows all about Lelouch, Zero, and what happened last night. Speaking of, last night, before Shirley could even react to seeing Lelouch, Villette showed up. She was so excited about all of the horrible ways Zero could be executed. Hearing this, Shirley snapped and shot Villette. So back in the present, Mao guilt trips Shirley over being a killer just like Zero, all while clapping for some reason. What a weirdo. Meanwhile, Lelouch and C2 follow Shirley to Narita.
What if she really does know? Are you going to kill her?
Wait, what the hell is C2 wearing? Never mind, let's focus. Mao is waiting for Lelouch and Narita, still clapping. He challenges Lelouch to a chess match, which they play in a moving cable car. Mao claims he's never played chess before, but still manages to win. But how? Who is this guy? Why is he so obsessed with punishing sinners? And why is he still clapping? Mao reveals he's also a Geass user, but his Geass Geass lets him read people's minds. At that moment, Shirley enters, aiming a gun at Lelouch. Deja vu. Mao manipulates Shirley into shooting Lelouch. Luckily, Shirley's a horrible shot and misses. She remembers that this is her friend and crush here and shoots at Mao instead. Did I mention she's a terrible shot? Cause all she does is annoy Mao, who goes back into the cable car to get a bigger gun. The moment he enters the car, C2 appears. She traps him inside and sends the car moving back down. Clearly, Mao knows her too. He's so overjoyed at seeing her that he flings off his visor and headphones. Turns out, he's been listening to affirmations spoken by C2 this whole time. That's so creepy! With Mao gone, Lelouch and Shirley hug. She's devastated and will likely be scarred by all this for life. Unless, in a heartbreaking moment, Lelouch uses his Geass on Shirley to make her forget not just her actions, but also her feelings and her memories with Lelouch. Moments later, she has no idea who he is. The icing on the cake is that Shirley is a really bad shot, if I haven't mentioned that yet. She didn't actually kill Valletta either. She washes up on a shore nearby where Ogi finds her, bloodied and without memories, but alive. In episode 15, Cheering Mao, we learn a bit more about Mao. C2 made a contract with him when he was just 6 years old. His Geass gives him the power to hear others' thoughts, but its downside is that he can't turn it off. Over time, his power grew stronger and drove him mad. Something C2 says will eventually happen to Lelouch too. Lelouch is mad at her for not telling him about this sooner, and more than that, he blames C2 for not stopping Mao earlier. C2 meets with Mao in a creepy, abandoned amusement park. He's completely obsessed with C2. Well, at least he's not clapping anymore, thank God. Mao asks C2 to come away with him, but she pulls a gun on him instead. Except she's watched this guy grow up. She can't do it. Mao doesn't have the same issue though. He gets her gun and shoots her again and again. Mao has a plan. See, he has a house in Australia now and he wants to bring C2 there, but she's currently a little too big to bring in a suitcase.
I'm going to make you compact!
Before Mao has a chance to make a C2 salad, Lelouch appears on a screen. He says he's too far for Mao's Geass to reach him, then taunts the hell out of him. If they love each other so much, does Mao even know C2's real name? Driven mad, madder, Mao attacks the screen. This distraction buys Lelouch enough time for the cops to arrive and surround Mao. Lelouch walks in, disguised as one of the cops. Yeah, he's so good at predicting people that he knew everything Mao would say and pre-recorded the entire conversation as Zero. Mao tries to tell the cops that Lelouch is Zero, but Lelouch doesn't take any chances. All of the cops are controlled by the Geass. They mercilessly gun Mao down. Later, Lelouch and C2 stand on a rooftop overlooking the city, and Lelouch makes a new contract with C2. He'll help her fulfill her wish, whatever it is, and she won't let the Geass destroy him. She, of course, accepts. Episode 16, Nunnally Held Hostage, starts with C2 going to the Chinese Federation to run an errand for Lelouch. With C2 out of the way, Nunnally is visited by a familiar face, now all bandaged up. That's right, Mao's back and he's still clapping! Jeez, no one stays dead in this show. When Lelouch gets home, he discovers Nunnally's been kidnapped. He gets a call from Mao, who challenges him to another twisted game. And this time, Nunnally's life is on the line. Lelouch knows Mao must be close by if he can hear his thoughts, so he frantically searches the school for Mao. Suzaku joins him when he finds out someone's taken Nunnally. They trace her to the Ashford Academy sewers. Yeah, this school is so big it needs its own sewer system. The hallway is guarded by a motion sensor machine gun, so Lelouch suggests that they go back up and disable it. Or they could just do that. They find Nunnally in the depths of the sewers, where Mao's rigged a needlessly elaborate bomb. Seriously, he's like a stereotypical evil villain, but instead of lava, he has raw sewage. Ew. Lelouch leaves Suzaku with Nunnally and finds Mao at the school chapel for another game of chess. This is another super elaborate game. Each captured piece is placed on a scale. If it tips in Mao's favor, the bomb will go off. Lelouch seems to be losing, and Mao gets cockier and cockier. As Mao prepares to take the final piece, Lelouch acts uncharacteristically defeated. He begs Mao to let Nunnally go. Mao declares checkmate and throws the last piece onto the scale, and nothing happens. Suzaku takes a page from Lelouch's book and makes a dramatic entrance. He bursts through the window and knocks Mao down with a righteous punch. Go Suzaku! While Lelouch was busy distracting Mao, Suzaku disarmed the bomb. It was all part of Lelouch's plan. Why wasn't Mao able to see this plan in Lelouch's thoughts though? Easy. Mao couldn't read his mind because there was nothing to read. He used the Geass on himself to forget his own plan. Freaking genius! Mao tries one last tactic. He calls Suzaku a father killer. Years ago, Suzaku killed his own father, the Prime Minister Genbu Kururugi. He thought it would prevent more bloodshed. Instead, he spent the last 7 years trying to atone for his mistake. Suzaku breaks down. Lelouch has enough of Mao's and decides to silence him, literally. He uses his Geass to order Mao to never speak again. Mao runs out of the chapel and finds C2 waiting for him. She tells him to go wait for her in the C's world. Then she kills him, finally putting this crazy, sad dude out of his misery for real this time. Episode 17, Night. The 4 holy swords ask the Black Knights for help. These elite fighters were part of the Japan Liberation Front until Lelouch made it go. They want revenge on Britannia for taking over Japan and turning it into Area 11. But there's a big problem. Their leader, Kiyoshiro Toro, has been captured and will be executed soon. Lelouch agrees to help just as soon as he's done posing for the school's Art Week celebrations. As the Black Knights prepare for battle, they get a few new suits and weapons from a new arrival, Rakshata Chala. She's Lelouch's new recruit, a gorgeous Indian scientist. Together with the 4 holy swords, the Black Knights attack the prison where Toro is being kept. Lelouch and Kallen bust Toro out in what might be Lelouch's most dramatic entrance yet. Lelouch convinces Toro to join them in battle, and he joins his team in a nightmare of his own. Suzaku is sent in to secure Toro and stop the Knights, but Lelouch has fought against the Lancelot enough times to predict its attack patterns. With Lelouch's guidance, Toro manages to cut open the Lancelot's cockpit and reveal its pilot. For the first time,
No way.
Lelouch realizes he's been fighting his childhood friend this whole time. As the Holy Swords prepare to take down Suzaku, Lelouch screams for them to stand down and retreat. The entire fight is broadcast to Britannian officials gathered at the opening ceremony of the Clovis Memorial Museum. Princess Euphemia is there as a special guest. The whole time, Euphemia's been pressured to shun Japanese people as unworthy. In the end, her kindness wins out and she refuses to play by Britannia's rules. As all the gathered officials watch Suzaku, an 11, defend Britannia from the Black Knights, she makes a shocking declaration. She chooses Suzaku to be her personal protector. Episode 18, I Order You, Suzaku Kururugi, begins with Suzaku getting knighted by Euphemia. The students of Ashford Academy throw Suzaku a party to celebrate, but not everyone's happy. Most of the Britannian people and officials think that electing the enemy as a protector of their princess is an awful mistake. Some of the Black Knights also think they should take Suzaku out while they have the chance. Kallen attempts to kill Suzaku at his own party. Rude! But Lelouch interferes before she can get to him. Suzaku is called away from his party on business. Euphemia is heading to Shikine Island to meet with an arriving noble, and she wants her knight by her side. Lelouch and the Black Knights also show up, and Lelouch manages to lure Suzaku into a trap. They meet outside their mechs, and Lelouch tells Suzaku to join his cause. He tries to use the Father Killer card. Basically, he says it's all Suzaku's fault Japan was captured because he killed his father, the Prime Minister. But Suzaku refuses to go along with Lelouch's plans. He believes in the system and would rather bring change by following orders. Unfortunately, the next order he gets is a death sentence. Suzaku is told to keep Zero from moving so the Britannian army can kill them both with a missile strike. In case it's not clear, Suzaku is a sacrificial lamb. Zero will be killed, but so will Suzaku. Where's his system now? Euphemia, of course, is not chill with this. She doesn't have the power to stop the attack, so she rushes to Suzaku. If the Britannians know their princess might be killed in the strike, they probably won't fire. Probably. Then, things go from bad to worse. A massive airship covers the entire field with its shadow and prepares to fire missiles at Suzaku, Lelouch, and everyone else caught in the blast. In desperation, Lelouch opens his mask so he can use his Geass power, and then the ship fires a barrage of shots. There's no way anyone got out of that alive. Episode 19, Island of the Gods, shows us that our heroes somehow escaped from the missiles. Not only that, but they're stranded on a deserted island. Suzaku spots Kallen, who's taking a shower, and tries to arrest her for being a Black Knight, while naked, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I'm sure that'll hold up. Somewhere else on the island, Euphemia finds Zero and figures out that he's her long-lost brother, Lelouch. Both pairs spend the whole episode either catching dinner, Suzaku, or failing to catch it, Lelouch. Poor Princess Euphy is reduced to eating a handful of berries while Kallen feasts on fish. Meanwhile, the Special Corps, the two researchers in charge of the Lancelot, meet with Schneisel el Britannia, yet another blonde-haired, blue-eyed prince of the royal family. Japan is just crawling with royalty at this point. He's also the guy who was piloting the airship in the last episode. He takes the Special Corps to an underground cave full of weird triangles and symbols to look at something he calls the Thought Elevator. I have no idea what that is yet. Anyway, it's conspiracy time! Schneisel believes that his father, the Emperor, isn't just taking over countries for and giggles. There's something strange happening at these sites, and it might be linked to the power of the Geass. Schneisel wants the Special Corps to use a new prototype nightmare frame, the Gawain, to analyze the cave's artifacts. Back on the island, Suzaku and Kallen eventually find Euphemia and Lelouch, who's still dressed as Zero. Lelouch pretends to take Euphemia hostage and tries to exchange her for Kallen, but Kallen's spicy. She can save herself, thank you very much. All four of them are busy arguing when suddenly the ground underneath them glows with a huge Geass symbol. Then the floor starts moving. What is going on? And surprise, they were right above the Britannians this entire time. Turns out, the elevator part of the Thought Elevator is literal. Lelouch and his companions end up crashing the Britannian cave party. Lelouch and Kallen escape in the Gawain, which was conveniently lying around for them to borrow. Instead of stopping them, Suzaku freezes up. It's finally revealed that Lelouch used the Geass on Suzaku. Whatever he told him led to Suzaku disobeying his orders. The Britannians don't love that, and Suzaku, unsurprisingly, is arrested. A new force enters the fight in episode 20, Battle at Kyushu, the Chinese Federation. The forces are led by a skinny Japanese man in a suit who claims he's here to liberate Japan. Lelouch knows he's just a puppet who wants to take control of Japan for a different power. Lelouch's dream for Japan is to make it fully independent. Cornelia and her forces meet the Chinese Federation's advancing army. A storm makes it impossible to fight back on the water. Luckily, the Lancelot's just gotten a cool new upgrade that allows it to fly. Oh, yeah, that's right. Suzaku's not arrested anymore. That was quick. Suzaku does his best to hold back the Chinese Federation forces single-handedly, but he's outnumbered. In the middle of the fighting, Euphemia reaches out to him on a private line. He's kinda busy, but she has a very important command to give him.
I hereby command you to love me!
Right!
I don't think that's how that works. But that's okay, because Suzaku and Euphemia have been perfect for each other from the moment she fell into his arms. The two declare their love for each other, and then Suzaku says goodbye, because at that moment, the Lancelot runs out of power. Euphemia's next words coincidentally repeat Lelouch's Geass command.
Don't die, Suzaku! You've got to live!
Suzaku is just about to be blown into pieces when the Gawain flies in to save the day. With some help from C2, Lelouch casually swats away Chinese Federation fighter planes like flies. Instead of attacking the Lancelot, Lelouch hands Suzaku a spare battery. For once, the two childhood friends fight together. They take down the Chinese Federation forces, making Japan safe for another day. Well, safe-ish. Suzaku returns to Euphemia and becomes her knight again, and a little something more. And it's so beautiful. And the sweet Euphemia realizes she never wanted perfect justice or an ideal country. Oh, if only we could stop watching here and let him stay happy. Episode 21, The School Festival Declaration, is a little break after all of that fighting. The Ashford Academy School Festival has begun. The entire school works on costumes, displays, and all sorts of other shenanigans. Even C2 is here, excited about the headlining act, the world's biggest pizza. Suzaku gets to pilot the Ganimede mech and shape the dough for the giant pizza. Even though opinions are mixed about this Britannian knight who's also Japanese, at least everyone's cheering for him. Pizza really can overcome anything. Princess Euphemia is also at the festival in disguise. She chats with Lelouch and Nunnally until a rogue wind blows off her disguise. This causes a stampede. A princess on school grounds. Suzaku abandons his pizza to rescue Euphemia, leaving poor C2 heartbroken. Euphemia takes advantage of all the press and attention to make an announcement.
Hereby declare the formation of the specially administrated zone of Japan.
Yes, you heard that right. Euphemia is creating an area where Japanese people live as equals to Britannians and can actually, well, be Japanese. She calls directly to Zero, who she knows is Lelouch, and asks him to join her. This is great, right? But Lelouch isn't happy. Actually, he's infuriated. He's already played out every possibility of this action, and the potential outcomes don't look good for Japan, or for his Black Knights. So now what? The title of episode 22, Bloodstained Euphy, is pretty worrying, but things start out fine, with Euphemia and Suzaku leading the official opening of the Japan Special Zone. Thousands of Japanese people gather for the ceremony. Lelouch crashes the party in the Gawain as dramatically as ever, accompanied by C2. He requests a private talk with Euphemia, and she accepts. In a dark room, away from prying eyes and ears, Lelouch hands her a gun and tells her his plan. He wants to make Euphemia shoot Zero in front of everyone, disgracing her and turning him into a martyr. He will, of course, make a miraculous recovery. Suddenly, Lelouch and C2 both collapse in pain, clutching their eyes. Something's happening with their Geass power. Lelouch snaps at Euphemia in anger, but she manages to calm him down by being her sweet self. She asks him one more time if he'll join her to build a brighter future for Nunnally. This time, Lelouch agrees. Lelouch decides to tell Euphemia about his power. Not that she believes him, of course, but he insists. No, he really can tell anyone to do anything. Even this.
For example, if I told you to kill all the Japanese, it wouldn't matter how you felt about it.
His Geass is acting up. So, what he meant as a joke was taken as a direct command. Oh no. Oh no. No. What has he done? Euphemia tries to fight the Geass command, but it's no use. She runs out to the massive crowd of Japanese people and tries asking them very nicely to die. When that doesn't work, she orders soldiers to kill them all. And when that doesn't work, she does it herself with the gun Lelouch gave her. Chaos erupts as the guards finally catch on and start gunning down Japanese people left and right. And Euphy is somewhere in the center of it all, absolutely drenched in the blood of innocence. Suzaku and Lelouch take off in their mechs looking for Euphemia. Lelouch decides that since it's already hit the fan, he might as well use it. What a heartless bastard. He announces to all the resistance fighters that the whole thing was a trap from the beginning. Lelouch orders the Black Knights to fight back against the Britannians and save the Japanese. And Euphy?
Find her and kill her!
What an absolutely insane turn of events. Sheesh. In episode 23, At Least with Sorrow, a Geassed up Euphemia rampages through the zone in a mech. When Kallen and Lelouch disarm her, she gets out and just keeps on shooting. There's only one thing Lelouch can do now. He puts her out of her misery. He shoots her. Suzaku sees this and goes berserk. He swoops in and pulls Euphemia out, then brings her dying body to the Special Corps. But it's too late. There's nothing that they can do for her. Suzaku sits by his darling Euphemia's side, and when she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything.
Did it go all right? Is Japan okay?
No, Euphy, I don't think Japan is okay. Meanwhile, Lelouch declares Euphemia to be a coward and a symbol of hatred throughout the nation. How could he do this to her? Oh, Euphy. Suzaku does the right thing. He lies to her. He tells her it was a huge success and that everyone is happy. Euphemia makes him promise to keep going to school, and then she dies in his arms. Suzaku asks a dead Euphemia why she issued the order to kill all Japanese people. A small child with floor-length blonde hair appears behind him and offers to explain everything. He introduces himself as V2. This episode has a lot of moving parts, so bear with me. There are just 2 more things to set up before we turn back to Lelouch. First of all, Britannians have been working on something. A dude in a tube that they call an experimental subject. He bursts out of the tube and it's Jeremiah, aka Orange Boy, still alive, now with 90% more fabulous hair. Second of all, the mousy Nina is tinkering with the nightmare frames at Ashford Academy, and she wants to avenge her crush, Euphemia. I'm sure this'll end well. Anyway, okay, back to Lelouch. Lelouch's Geass has become permanently active. Now, everything he says will be taken as a command. The Black Knights take over the zone and announce that they're fighting for complete independence. They advance through Japan toward Tokyo, gathering support and resistance fighters along the way by the thousands. Lelouch leads them to the center of Tokyo and gives the Britannians exactly until midnight to surrender. He doesn't want to just free Japan. He wants to tear the whole thing down so that he can rebuild it from scratch. our boy's gone off the rails. Lelouch wages war in episode 24, The Collapsing Stage. He brings destruction to Tokyo, breaking the settlement walls from the underside and leaving Britannian forces in disarray. As they scramble to get reinforcements, Lelouch commandeers Ashford Academy as the Black Knight's home base. After all, he needs to protect Nunnally. Suzaku steals the Lancelot and goes after Zero. He knows about the Geass and Lelouch's supernatural ability to control people and erase their memories. But Lelouch has a bigger fish to fry. He's after Cornelia. He traps Suzaku again with the same trap. Come on, Suzaku. Stop falling for the same trick. Then, Lelouch flies to a government base where Cornelia is waiting for him. Lelouch and Cornelia battle, and he's not doing too well. But Lelouch always has a backup plan. Cornelia's stopped at the last moment by one of her own soldiers, who's under Geass' order to deliver her to Lelouch. We see Jeremy again as well. He's been pretty much turned into a cyborg, and he's definitely not Zero's biggest fan. Nina is around too, piloting the pizza-making mech from before, Ganimede. And there's one other person that we need to keep an eye on. Villetta. Remember her? She was the Britannian nightmare pilot who Shirley shot way back. She's been living with Ogi this whole time, and even falling in love with him. But she has her memories back now. Disgusted that she was ever involved with an 11, she enters Ashford Academy and shoots Ogi. Even worse, she knows Zero's real identity. Well, damn. Just before this episode ends, V2 pays Nunnally a visit. This girl really needs to stop getting kidnapped. Episode 25, Zero, is the final episode of the first season. Lelouch reveals his identity to Cornelia and asks her who killed his mother, but she has no idea. What a waste. C2 tells Lelouch that Nunnally's been kidnapped. She can somehow sense it, and she knows where she is. But first, dun dun dun! Welcome back to the one and only Jeremiah.
Is that you, Orange Boy?
Orange Boy is out for revenge, but Lelouch doesn't have time for this. He fights off Jeremiah's huge ship and flies away to find Nunnally. With Lelouch distracted and Ogi shot, the Black Knights begin to fall apart. The Special Corps show up at Ashford Academy and drive out the Black Knights. They free Suzaku and get to work evacuating the students. But soon, a new problem emerges. Nina, piloting a modified Ganimede. She's attached gosh dang nukes to the mech. If she did this right, she'd blow up not just the school, but the entire settlement of Tokyo. Good thing it's in the hands of a totally rational person.
Zero, where is he? Tell me where he is!
Oh, never mind. Meanwhile, Lelouch arrives on Kamina Island, where C2 says Nunnally is being held. They're back at the place with all the artifacts and the thought elevator. They activate some kind of psychological trap when they get closer. Lelouch sees all sorts of insane visions of C2 in history, and even being burned at the stake. It looks like she's existed forever as a witch and doesn't remember if she was ever human. Lelouch tells her that if she's a witch, then he's a demon. Jeremiah finds them and keeps trying to take out Zero. He just doesn't know when to give it a rest. C2 stays behind in the Gawain to fight Jeremiah. Even though she might not survive, she gives Lelouch a parting kiss. Ooh. But there's no time to think about it. Lelouch has to find Nunnally. If he loses her, then everything he's done has been for nothing. Lelouch finally makes it to the huge doors inside the cave, but Suzaku and Kallen have also caught up with them, and Suzaku is pissed. He shoots Zero's mask, splitting it open, and finally revealing Lelouch to Kallen and Suzaku. As Kallen reels from this discovery, Lelouch begs Suzaku for a temporary truce. But Suzaku's had enough. They wouldn't be in this entire mess if it weren't for Lelouch. Lelouch plants a bomb on his chest, but even that doesn't stop Suzaku. The two childhood friends point their guns at each other. A shot rings out, Nunnally recoiling, and the season ends. God damn! Now that's how you do a cliffhanger. It's 2018. About a year after the disastrous end of the last season, the Britannians squashed down the Black Rebellion. As Zero's revolt became known, Japanese are now even more oppressed than ever. Most of the Black Knights are gone, either dead, imprisoned, or in hiding. Zero is believed to be dead. We meet Lelouch Lamperouge, a typical Ashford Academy student, and his little brother, Rolo. Lelouch gets chased by his gym teacher, Violetta Nu, and says hello to his friends, Shirley and the others. What a nice, typical day for our hero. Wait, no, this is all wrong. Lelouch clearly doesn't remember that he was Zero, and his eyes no longer taken over by the chaos. What happened? Who the hell is Rolo? And where's Nunnally? Lelouch seems to be back to his old pre-Zero self, bored and looking for a challenge. So he and his brother sneak into a Japanese settlement to hit up the casino in Babel Tower. Lelouch bumps into a waitress dressed as a bunny and... wait, is that Kallen? Kallen is undercover, but her plan is thrown off when some thugs start messing with her. Lelouch might not remember being Zero, but he still can't watch the weak be abused by the strong. So naturally, he challenges the thug to a game of chess. Lelouch wins easily, of course, and the thug is a sore loser. At that moment, chaos breaks loose. A massive blimp lands on top of Babel Tower, and Black Knights invade. Lelouch gets separated from Rolo and Kallen, and he's trying to find his brother when a black light mech lands right in front of him. Out pops C2. She tells him they still have a contract, and he still has no idea who she is. Their reunion is cut short when a bunch of Britannians show up and shoot C2. It's just like the very first time they met. Only this time, Lelouch was being used as witch bait. Lelouch wishes he had the power to escape, so just like the first time they met, C2 grabs hold of him. But this time, she uses a more direct method of transferring her powers. Lelouch's memories flood back into his head. He addresses the soldiers.
All of you, die!
Lelouch is back, baby! And he's ready to take over the world again. The Black Knights arrive to get their orders from Lelouch, aka Zero. In episode 27, Plan for an Independent Japan, we get to see what happened on the day of the Black Rebellion. Lelouch and Suzaku pull their guns on each other, and they both fired, but both missed somehow. Suzaku overpowered Lelouch and brought him into the Emperor. In exchange for capturing Zero, Suzaku asked to become part of the Knights of the Round, an elite group of the strongest knights in the Empire. And then, instead of just killing Lelouch, the Emperor, his father, decided it would be better to use him as bait for C2. To do that, he would erase Lelouch's memories, because Charles, the Emperor of Britannia, is also a Chaos user. Oh, While Lelouch jumps back into fighting, the Emperor takes Suzaku to a weird shrine floating in the middle of nowhere. It's called the Sword of Akasha. It seems important, so let's file that away for later, shall we? Anyway, back in the present, Lelouch returns to being the commander of the Black Knights. And he starts with, say it with me, borrowing a nightmare. Yeah, he's really back. Even C2 is fed up with this dude's drama.
Even though you need direct eye contact, are those theatrics necessary?
The Black Knight's opponent this time is a viceroy with a silly mustache who's subbing in for Cornelia. Lelouch guides his team to fight back against the Britannians while C2 plants C4. There's a joke in there somewhere. They face off against a cool new nightmare frame based on the Lancelot that's called the Vincent. It keeps disappearing, but they hold off the Vincent long enough for the bombs to be ready. Lelouch activates them and achieves 3 goals in one fell swoop. 1. The top half of the tower crushes the remaining Britannian soldiers. 2. The body of the collapsing tower crushes the Viceroy and his troops on the ground beneath. And 3. It creates a direct path for him to his next destination, the Chinese consulate. Here, he meets with 2 delegates from the Chinese Federation. One is a member of the current rulers of the Federation, a white-faced eunuch. The other is their lean and serious bodyguard, Li Shinkei. He broadcasts his return to the entire nation on live television. Zero's back, and he's ready to fight for Japan again. He once again declares this is now the United States of Japan. While Lelouch is celebrating his return, we see that his fake little brother Rolo is the Vincent's pilot. He has one task.
I came here to kill Zero.
And naturally, he has a Geass of his own. In episode 28, Imprisoned in Campus, Lelouch is back at Ashford Academy cooking and laughing with the student council members, but the school is also his prison. He's being watched by Villetta, Rolo, and several other spies from the Office of Secret Intelligence. Nina is gone, and worst of all, no one remembers Nunnally. We find out a bit more about Rolo here, Lelouch's fake little brother. Clearly, he's a spy, but he's also kind of pathetic, freaking out when Lelouch tries to take back a locket that actually belongs to Nunnally. We learn that Rolo's Geass power seems to freeze time, and that Rolo has no problem killing first and asking questions later. Gilbert G.P. Guilford takes charge of Area 11 since Lelouch kinda crushed the last Viceroy. He was Cornelia's faithful knight throughout the first season, and now he's after Zero. So he sets a trap. He announces he's going to execute all the Black Knight prisoners tomorrow unless Zero agrees to duel him. Lelouch needs to go save them, but first he needs to get out of Ashford Academy. He manages to slip away from his surveillance and trick everyone into leaving their posts. Then he pays a visit to their spy base and waits for Rolo to arrive. He's decided to approach the Rolo problem head first. Well, gun first. Lelouch wants to use Rolo to find Nunnally, except Rolo pulls an Uno reverse card on him. Damn! Now what? Episode 29, Counterattack at the Gallows, starts with a flashback to Rolo's past. He's been killing with his Geass since he was a small boy. It was a tragic childhood, with no love or family. That explains why he's so attached to Nunnally's locket. It's the only birthday present he's ever gotten. Dang, poor kid. Back in the present, Lelouch manages to talk Rolo into letting him go. He promises Rolo 2 things, C2 and a future. The next day, all the prisoners are brought out to be executed above the Chinese consulate. Lelouch waits until the last possible moment to maximize the drama of his entrance. Typical.
Those aren't terrorists you're executing. They're the Black Knights.
But he showed up and he owes Guilford a duel. They agree to only use 1 weapon each. Guilford chooses his spear and Lelouch brings a shield. What the hell? If you think Lelouch is going to play fair, then clearly you don't know him by now. His real plan was to Geass a control room worker into tipping the very ground they're standing on. As Britannian troops slide right off, Lelouch surfs down on his shield. So that's what it was for. Someone's been playing way too much Breath of the Wild. As chaos erupts, Lelouch and the Black Knights dive in to rescue the prisoners. Rolo thinks Lelouch is trying to get away. He joins the fight in the Vincent, but is shot by an anti-tank cannon. but Lelouch jumps into his path and saves him. Rolo, confused now, saves Lelouch in return. What about his mission? What's he supposed to do now? Poor Rolo's head is all jumbled. For now though, Lelouch is his brother. The Chinese bodyguard Shinke steps in. The eunuch he was supposed to protect is dead now. Totally by accident, and not at all because Shinke assassinated him in the chaos. He orders the Britannians to leave, or it'll be seen as an act of aggression against the Chinese Federation. It looks like Lelouch has won again, having freed Ogi and the others, and he's turned Rolo to his side, at least for now. Of course, he planned the entire thing, manipulating Rolo's emotions with a heroic rescue that he set up using the Geass. All that talk about Rolo being his sibling was an entire load of Lelouch has only one sibling, and he will do anything to rescue her, no matter who he steps on to get there. Suzaku returns to Ashford Academy in episode 30, Knights of the Round, and he's bringing 2 other Knights of the Round with him. The very chill, blue-eyed Gino Weinberg is the son of a noble who uses an awesome transforming nightmare frame, Tristan. His companion is the expressionless Anya Alstrom, who obsessively records everything in her diary and pilots the heavy assault nightmare, Mordred. By now, you're probably starting to recognize all of these names. They're all related to the King Arthur legends. Who's Arthur? The cat, of course. Lelouch pretends he doesn't remember what happened between him and Suzaku, and life goes on as usual at the school. And that means it's time for another festival. The school throws a party to welcome back Suzaku. They're gonna try and make the biggest pizza again. So, of course, C2 shows up. Well, at least Villetta is, she's busy. Spoiler alert, C2 doesn't get to eat the pizza this time either, but she does get to be part of it, because Lelouch shoves her into the huge container of tomatoes to hide her from Shirley. Whoops. Kallen arrives in a mascot costume to take C2 away, but before they can do anything, Gino whisks the tomatoes away with C2 still in the container. Lelouch manages to save the day by releasing a fog of bubbles. Whew! During the chaos, Kallen bumps into Villetta, literally. The thing is, Kallen recognizes her. Ogi brought Villetta, still suffering from amnesia, to the last festival. Later that day, Lelouch and Rolo corner Villetta and blackmail her under gunpoint. If anyone knew Villetta was low-key dating a member of the Black Knights, she would lose everything. She has no choice but to agree to help them. That night, Suzaku meets Lelouch on the roof. He announces that he wants to become the Knight of One, the highest rank fighter in the Empire. If he does, he'll get to choose a territory to command. And you already know which one he's planning to pick. He has one more bombshell to drop on Lelouch. He makes a phone call to the incoming, newly appointed Viceroy of Area 11. It's Nunnally!
It's me, Nunnally. Can you hear me? I'm coming there to be the Viceroy.
In episode 31, Rolo steps in to help Lelouch. He freezes Suzaku, allowing Lelouch to speak with Nunnally freely for a few seconds. Lelouch tells her that they need to pretend not to know each other, and when Suzaku returns to normal, Lelouch fools him into thinking he has no idea who Nunnally is. The next day, he directs an attack against the airship that's bringing Nunnally into Area 11. He has to rescue his sister. Before he heads out, he gets some information from C2 about the kid who kidnapped Nunnally. The dead-eyed child, named V2, is one of the Emperor Charles' first allies. A flashback shows them forming a contract at the floating shrine, the Sword of Akasha, and somehow the little kid is this grown-ass Emperor's big brother. Huh? The next day, The Black Knights keep Nunnally's Britannian escorts busy. Meanwhile, Lelouch boards their ship and finds Nunnally in a gorgeous garden aboard the ship. She thinks Zero is there to kill her the way he killed her siblings, but she remains brave. She tells him that she plans to continue Euphy's plan to create a special zone for Japanese people, and she asks Zero to help her.
Won't you please try to help me rebuild it?
That didn't end so well last time. All the fighting outside has damaged the ship, and it starts to fall. Kallen battles Suzaku's new and improved Lancelot Conquista, and almost falls to a watery grave. A quick intervention from Rakshata sends her flying back up. She takes out the enemy, even disabling both Gino and Anya's nightmares. But she and Suzaku decide to stop fighting and save their respective leaders. Suzaku crashes into the ship and rescues Nunnally, and Lelouch falls into the Guden's waiting arms. Man, he was so close! In episode 32, The Abandoned Mask, Nunnally is sworn in as Viceroy and promises to reinstate the special Japanese zone. The nation is hesitant to trust her after what happened last time, while Lelouch spirals into a depression. He can't fight against Nunnally, and he doesn't know where Zero fits into this vision of Japan. He escapes to the slums, prepared to give everything up. Kallen tracks him down and slaps some sense into him. The Black Knights need him. Japan needs him. He cannot abandon them now. Feeling lost, Lelouch returns to Ashford Academy. His friends from the student council are all there. Seeing them makes him realize that he's no longer just fighting for Nunnally. He's fighting for all the people he loves. Finally, the people of Japan are no longer just pawns in a chess game for Lelouch. Out in the water, the Black Knights are on the run when Suzaku intercepts them. They're fighting a losing battle until Zero shows up to help them. With his strategizing, they get away safely. Lelouch takes this chance to appear as Zero and make a crazy decision. Is he really giving in?
You shall participate willingly in the special zone!
In episode 33, 1 Million Miracles, Nina makes an appearance, her 2 braids now chopped to a short cut. After her little nuclear fiasco, which thankfully failed, she was noticed and picked up by Prince Schneisel. Now, she's working for him to create a working prototype. Meanwhile, the special zone struggles to get off the ground. Even though Zero supports it, no 11s sign up for it. Lelouch contacts Suzaku and the Special Corps with a surprise. He actually has over 1 million people ready to sign up. There's just one catch. He wants them to exile Zero.
But there's one condition. You must let me go.
Okay, seems sus. Suzaku doesn't love it, but he wants to see Euphemia's dream of the zone come true, so he agrees. The day of the zone's opening ceremony arrives again, and everyone is on the edge. Obviously, last time they tried it, there was a horrific massacre, but things seem to be going a lot better this time. 1 million 11s, including Black Knights, gather in an outdoor field. Nunnally steps on stage to welcome all the 11s, but then Zero gives a signal and a thick fog covers the field. When the fog clears, everyone is wearing Zero's outfit and mask. Even the dog! Since no one knows who Zero really is, and now they're all Zero, then all the gathered Japanese people must leave Japan at once. So that's what Lelouch was up to. He just got all his resistance fighters and other Japanese people a free ticket safely out of the country. They're all headed for the Chinese Federation, where he's already struck up a deal with the rulers to let them have an island all on their own. That means no more oppression by Britannia, plus they can't be arrested for all of the rebel stuff. Nice! It's all up to Suzaku. He could order the Britannians to seize Zero, but who is Zero? Is he really going to try to restrain 1,000,000 people? One of Nunnally's advisors decides to do it herself if Suzaku can't give the order to shoot Zero. Suzaku stops her, preventing another massacre. Euphy and Nunnally both wanted to forgive Zero, and Suzaku refuses to break his people's trust again. He lets the Zeros go, and they board a ship en route to the Chinese Federation. In episode 34, the exiled Japanese people arrive on the shore of the Chinese Federation. Lelouch immediately starts trying to figure out how to overturn its government. Oh, what? Did you expect him to just lie down and be happy? Don't worry, the Britannian Empire isn't happy with Lelouch's move either. In response, Prince Schneisel sets up a political marriage between the Empress of the Chinese Federation and his brother, another freaking Britannian prince. He's a grown man, and she's a tiny white-haired girl. Ew. This poor girl has been a prisoner in her own castle since she was born. She's the symbol of her nation, but the true power is held by the clown-like high eunuchs. These dudes get to be Britannian nobles in return for just giving up their nation. The Empress still has one loyal supporter, Shinkei, who helped Lelouch back in Japan. The wedding party arrives, and there are a few unexpected guests. Suzaku and 2 Knights of the Round are here, as are Millie and even Nina as Schneisel's date. Suzaku's young cousin Kaguya is also here, and she's brought the most unexpected guest of all, Lelouch as Zero. Lelouch challenges Schneisel to a game of chess for the right to attend the wedding. And, oh yeah, he wants Suzaku.
I'd like to have Sir Kururuki.
Huh?
What?
For once, Lelouch can't beat his opponent and the match ends in a draw. Well, it ends in Nina attacking Zero in a fury. Suzaku stops the poor, broken girl, and Lelouch is told he's not invited to the wedding. That's alright though. He doesn't have to crash the wedding. Shinkei does it for him. He hates what the high eunuchs are doing to his precious empress. He's come to stop the wedding and take her away. Isn't it nice when someone else does the dirty work for you? Now that the wedding's already been crashed, all Lelouch has to do is swoop in and grab the empress. And that's exactly what he does. Episode 35. Lelouch escapes with the empress and explains his plan. He wants to take down the Chinese Federation so the Britannian Empire can't ally with them and grow their power. He already has the support of India and several countries under the Chinese Federation control. All he needs now is the Empress's help. But the Empress doesn't have any actual power. She's just a symbol, and both Shinkei and the high eunuchs want her back. Lelouch flees, with the entire Chinese Federation army after him. The eunuchs decide to throw Shinkei into the battle too, since they have the same goal for once. Shinkei arrives to battle in a new nightmare frame, the Shen Hu. It's much more advanced than the Black Knight's mechs, and require almost superhuman skills to pilot, but Shinkei is a master at it. He captures Kallen's Gurren and takes her in as prisoner. Lelouch has to make a decision now. He can either go after Kallen and put their entire battle at risk for one prisoner, or he can leave Kallen and retreat and hope that the Indian reinforcements will arrive soon. You might think you know what Lelouch chooses, and you're probably wrong.
I've made my decision! We're going in now!
But why?
Lelouch chooses with his heart. He's going in to rescue Kallen. Lelouch and the Black Knights rush into battle, strategically fighting as always. But Shinkei is also an expert strategist. He uses the terrain to essentially trap all the Black Knights in quicksand. Impressive! Shinkei actually manages to anticipate Lelouch's moves. Lelouch has no choice. He orders a retreat to a sacred mausoleum in the Chinese Federation. Here, he can wait for backup and hope that the high eunuchs won't want to attack a historic location. But things aren't looking too good. In episode 36, Power of Passion, we briefly switch to Ashford Academy, back home. There's an imposter among the student council members. A fake Lelouch is walking among the students. He looks and sounds like Lelouch, but he's way too nice. The imposter is actually a disguised Sayoko, the faithful, longtime Japanese maid of Lelouch and Nunnally. Back in the Chinese Federation, the battle rages on. The High Eunuchs reveal that they don't care if the Empress dies or their sacred monument is destroyed. That's all just stuff. Social class is so much more important. They don't need Shinkai anymore either, so they betray him. Shocker! The Empress runs out of their hiding place to try and stop the fighting, but the High Eunuch opens fire. Shinkai rushes in to shield her and begs someone, anyone, to save her. Step aside. Lelouch has got this. Lelouch protects Shinkai and the Empress with his new nightmare frame and Rakshata's latest baby, Shinkiro. Then he reveals that he's been broadcasting this entire fight across the Chinese Federation. That includes the eunuchs talk about their Empress being replaceable and human lives being unimportant. Yeah, it's not a good look. People are pissed, and rioting has broken out all over the nation. Britannia withdraws its support and calls back its knights. Unfortunately, they take Kallen with them. Without Suzaku and the others, Shinkai easily breaks through the High Eunuch's defenses and cuts them down. The Empress is reinstated to her rightful place. The battle gave Lelouch some valuable information. While C2 was fighting against the Knight of the Round, Anya, she sensed something. It seems that the Britannian Empire is using the power of the Geass to create powerful warriors. The childlike V2 seems to be behind it all, and C2 thinks he's somewhere in the Chinese Federation right now. How convenient! Episode 37, Love Attack, takes a little break from fighting for love. Sayako's been busy keeping Lelouch on good terms with everyone. A little too good. She set him up on dates with 108 girls in one day. After a busy day running around, going on dates, Lelouch is confronted by Shirley. Lelouch might be good at strategizing, but not when it comes to girls. Millie jumps to the rescue. She announces a Cupid Day. Everyone gets special hats that they have to steal from each other. Whoever has matching swapped hats by the end of the day is declared boyfriend and girlfriend. And Lelouch, his hat is worth a fortune. Rolo shows up to give Lelouch a hand with his Geass. He buys Lelouch just enough time to run off and switch places with Sayako. She uses her awesome ninja skills to escape from all sorts of students who want his hat. And then Anya takes things just a teensy bit too far by pulling up in her Mordred. Yeah, using a war machine on a silly school event might be going a little bit overboard. Anya reaches for Shirley, mistaking her for Lelouch, but Lelouch jumps in just in time to save her. Shirley tells Lelouch she forgives him for running around with tons of girls. One day, she will be the girl for him. They exchange hats, and Millie reveals this was all her plan to make them stop fighting. Well played, Millie! She then announces her graduation, and we get to see her all successful and adult as a news anchor. They grow up so fast. Later that day, Shirley is walking home when a strange blue light envelops the streets. Jeremiah is causing it with his cool new mechanical eyepiece. It's a Geass canceller. It has the power to erase Lelouch's Geass effects, undoing any Geass commands that he's ever given to people, including erasing Shirley's memories. Oh no. In episode 38, Assassin from the Past, Shirley remembers everything. She meets with Suzaku on the roof of a train station, meaning to tell him that Lelouch is Zero. But Lelouch is there too. How is she supposed to say anything if he's right there? Actually, how does she know that Suzaku is on her side anyway? With no idea who to trust, Shirley panics and clambers onto the edge of the roof. She slips off and tumbles to certain death, but Lelouch and Suzaku catch her. They work together to pull Shirley up, and she realizes in that moment that she can trust both of them, and she needs to protect Lelouch. Meanwhile, It turns out that purple-haired Princess Cornelia is alive. She knows about Geass and has infiltrated some underground meeting held by the Emperor. She meets V2 and promptly kills him. Hey, you can't even trust kids in this world. Like C2 though, V2 just won't stay dead. V2 takes Cornelia prisoner. Man, she just got back too. Back on the train station roof, Lelouch gets a call warning him of a new threat. Jeremiah knows where he is, and he's coming for Lelouch. He leaves Shirley with Suzaku and runs off. He lures Jeremiah to a station where a special train is waiting. The train is loaded with EMP-like disruptors meant for a later plan, but he might as well test them out now. He activates the trap and Jeremiah freezes in place. He's mostly cyborg now, remember? But Orange Boy cannot be stopped. He asks Lelouch why he did what he did, and Lelouch tells him.
I did it because I am Lelouch v. Britannia!
He wants to know who killed his mother. Then, Jeremiah makes a shocking reveal. He was there when Lelouch's mom died too. She was his first assignment. He was supposed to protect her, and he failed. Now that he knows, he can die in peace. Wait, what? So Jeremiah didn't come here to kill Lelouch? But then, what's he standing here dying for? Lelouch could use a loyal dude like him. He stops the disruptors and rescues Jeremiah. Elsewhere in the station, Shirley leaves Suzaku to look for Lelouch. She knows Lelouch is Zero, but she's already forgiven him. Unfortunately, she finds Rolo first. When Lelouch finds her later that day, he's too late. Rolo has already done what he thought he needed to do to protect Lelouch. As she dies, Shirley tells Lelouch that she just kept falling in love with him, even with her memories erased.
Lulu, I love you.
Lelouch tries to stop her from dying with his Geass, but there are some things even that power can't achieve. All she can do is promise to keep falling in love with him in future lives. Holy hell, that poor girl went through so much for this fool. Episode 39, Geass Hunt, starts with a flashback. Lelouch's mother, Marianne, is playing by a lake with C2. Behind them, Charles and V2 discuss their Geass contract.
To kill God and smash this world of lies.
Yup, sounds like a completely rational plan. Back in the present, Shirley's funeral is being held, but Lelouch doesn't go. He's too busy on his next obsessive plot to overthrow the Emperor and destroy all traces of Geass from this world. Well, except C2, he'll keep her around. He declares war against the Emperor's secret Geass research arm, the Geass Order. Black Knights in mechs break up the Order's party in an underground cavern in the Chinese Federation. This time isn't like the others. They're not dealing with soldiers here. These are squishy scientists and lab workers, not fighters. Also, there are Geass using children. No, scratch that. There were children. Rolo slaughters them, even though they're kinda his younger siblings. Brutal. V2 enters the fight in a funky, star-shaped nightmare frame, the Siegfried. Lelouch can't damage the Siegfried because of its shields, so Rolo flies in to defend his big brother. But he doesn't know that his darling brother has planted a bomb on Rolo's mech. He plans to kill Rolo and V2 in one go to get back at Rolo for replacing Nunnally and killing Shirley. Damn. As he's about to detonate the bomb, Cornelia bursts in with a freaking missile launcher. She's gotten out of V2's prison. She shoots V2's ship at its weak point and lowers its shields. Lelouch launches a direct attack and takes the frame down. Meanwhile, the leaders of the Geass Order prepare to escape in an underground train. But when the escape tunnel doors open, C2 is waiting for them in a nightmare frame. Is she crying? C2 used to be the director of this lab. Now she feels responsible for all these lives being lost. That's pretty dark. Meanwhile, Lelouch follows V2 back into the Chaos Order lab. He finds him lying outside another thought elevator like the one back in Japan. He steps too close and is pulled in. Lelouch finds himself in the Sword of Akasha, where Charles greets his long-lost son. In episode 40, The Seas World, Lelouch finally confronts his father, the Emperor. He uses his chaos on Charles and it works. Charles shoots himself and collapses. Oh, we won! I mean, no, not really. Surprise! Charles can't be killed either. He's acquired V2's chaos code and stolen his immortality, leaving his brother to die. Lelouch is screwed. He's up against a god who cannot be killed. Charles offers to show him the true nature of this world. Suddenly, Lelouch is surrounded by floating masks and gears. Whoa, trippy. C2 arrives in the sword and declares playtime is over. She's had enough of Charles's. He wants her? Well, here she is. Charles agrees to grant C2's wish for her, and we find out what it is.
My wish is to die.
She wants to die. In the final stage of power, the Chaos user becomes immortal. Additionally, they gain the ability to kill the Chaos user who gave them the power. All C2 has been trying to do this entire show was to make anyone, finally strong enough to end her life. She thought Lelouch could do it, but he's too kind. Charles, on the other hand, has no problem killing C2. C2 ejects Lelouch from the Sword of Akasha and into her own memories. This is the Seas World that C2 sent Mao to back in the first season. It's where she collects the souls of people who were important to her. Lelouch sees the moment C2 became a witch. She was a poor, broken girl when a nun made a contract with her. The Chaos manifests the user's greatest wish more than anything. C2 wanted to be loved, so that's what her Chaos did. She's loved by everyone until it becomes meaningless. And in the end, the nun, the only person she trusted, turned against her. She used C2 to end her life and left. No wonder C2 is so cold. She was betrayed by the only person she trusted and has forgotten how to love. Lelouch breaks out of Seas World and is thrown back into the Sword of Akasha, but he's trapped inside of his mech. All he can do is watch Charles prepare to kill C2. Lelouch finally realizes how much C2 means to him. He promises her the smile she never got to have. In the last moment, C2 breaks away from Charles and frees Lelouch's frame. He starts rampaging, destroying the world and trapping Charles inside of it. As the world falls apart around them, Lelouch pulls himself and C2 out, but she doesn't remember him. Well, that sucks. In episode 41, C2 is alive, kind of. She's reverted to her pre-Chaos self, a scared little girl who's used to everyone wanting to hurt her. She acts like Lelouch is her master.
Sing me a song while hopping on one foot and wearing your clothes inside out.
Yes.
She doesn't even remember pizza. Lelouch promises he would never hurt her, and then he turns his attention back to the world. Thinking that Charles is dead, Lelouch, as Zero, forms the United Federation of Nations, or UFN. Over 35 nations join to unite against the Britannian Empire. All of the nations give up their rights to an army, and the Black Knights become the official neutral fighting force of the world. Yeah, totally neutral. As their first move, the UFN will have the Black Knights liberate Japan from Britannian rule. Before anything can happen though, Charles interrupts the broadcast. What, did you think he was really dead? No bad guys stay dead in this show. With Charles back, Lelouch worries about Nunnally's safety. He feels trapped, so he reacts like a trapped animal. He lashes out at C2. Man, he just promised not to hurt her. Instead of getting mad, C2 reminds Lelouch what it means to be human. Jesus, that is heartbreaking. Desperate, Lelouch decides to turn to the one person who's been by his side from the moment this started. He calls Suzaku and asks for his help. As episode 42, fighting breaks out across Japan. The Black Knights go up against Charles's forces. Once again, when the Black Knights need him most, Lelouch is off trying to protect Nunnally. He meets with Suzaku at Suzaku's family shrine and reveals everything. He tells Suzaku that he ordered her to kill all the Japanese people. He even admits that Shirley's death was his fault. None of that matters now though, as Lelouch begs Suzaku to protect Nunnally. Britannian soldiers crash their reunion and take Lelouch away. It was all a setup, but Suzaku had no idea. It turns out Schneisel had Suzaku followed and used him to get to Lelouch. Don't worry though, Lelouch doesn't stay captured for long, as Cornelia's knight Guilford is throwing him into a transport ship. Lelouch uses his Geass to make Guilford believe he's Cornelia. Lelouch is now free to carry out the plan he needed all those EMP blasters for. He cuts power all across the Tokyo settlement. As the Black Knights take over Tokyo Bay, Rolo leads soldiers into the heart of Area 11 to retrieve Nunnally. The battle is ready to begin in episode 43. On Lelouch's side, Shin-Kei leads the main troops in combat against Britannia, including a Geassed Guilford. Meanwhile, a smaller group of Black Knights assault the Tokyo settlement, led by Todo's 4 holy swords and Jeremiah, aka Orange Boy. At the same time, Rolo is sneaking in to rescue Nunnally alive from Tokyo settlement.
And when I do, I'll kill her with my own hands. I'm the only family you need.
Though he might have slightly different plans. And finally, Sayoko rescues Kallen from her Britannian prison and sends her into battle into her souped-up Gurren Satan. On the Britannian side, the main force is led by the powerful one-eyed Knight of One. Suzaku and several other Knights of the Round are fighting alongside him. Acting Prince of Britannia Schneisel also has a secret weapon up his sleeve. He's had Nina perfect her nuke-like weapon of mass destruction called the Fleya. This weapon is now attached to the Lancelot and ready to deploy. Civilians be damned. While war wages around them, Suzaku and Kallen battle each other. Between her upgraded Gurren and her skill as a pilot, Suzaku is no match for her. Lelouch orders Kallen to finish Suzaku off, and for the first time possibly ever, Lelouch makes a terrible mistake. He forgets about the Geass he placed on Suzaku a long time ago. Under the influence of his Geass, Suzaku does the only thing he can do to survive. He fires the Fleya. In a huge flash, the entire Tokyo settlement is completely obliterated. All that's left is a crater. In a single second, everyone in the Tokyo settlement dies. 10 million people just gone, and Nunnally might be among them. As of episode 44, Betrayal, there's no trace of Tokyo left. Lelouch is broken. He doesn't care about all of the casualties the Black Knights have just suffered, or the death of the hundreds of people in the settlement. He only wants one thing.
Nunnally has to be alive! Find her! Find Nunnally!
The Britannians call a temporary ceasefire. With Lelouch too broken to lead and Zero nowhere to be found, Schneisel calls a special meeting. He and Cornelia meet with General Todo, Ogi, and other high-ranking Black Knights. He reveals everything to them, starting with the fact that their beloved Zero is Lelouch v Britannia, a royal prince of the Britannian Empire. Schneisel tells them all about Lelouch's use of the Geass to command people, but it's okay as he was only using it to help the Black Knights, right? Right? Nope. Lelouch has used the Geass on them too, and they have proof too. Lelouch's own words, recorded when he was speaking to Suzaku. Yeah, he's pretty much screwed. Zero is drawn out of hiding at gunpoint by an army of Britannian soldiers. The only one still standing by his side is the ever-faithful Kallen, but Lelouch won't let Kallen die here for him. He pretends she means nothing to him, and even she abandons him to his fate. Just when it looks like Lelouch will finally be killed, Rolo arrives in the Shinkiro. He stops time and takes Lelouch out of there. Lelouch yells at him not to save him, that he doesn't want to live anymore, but Rolo just keeps freezing him and the Britannians chasing them. Freezing time also freezes Rolo's own heart. The more he stops time, the more he hurts himself, until finally his heart can't take it anymore. But Rolo recalls how the memories of the last year he spent as Lelouch's brother were the only time in his life when he felt alive. Rolo uses his own free will to decide how to spend his last moments, saving Lelouch. Rolo's death gives Lelouch a new meaning in life. He won't lie down and die just yet. He's going down, and he's taking Charles with him. In episode 45, C2 still has the mind of a lost and confused little girl. Knight of the Round Anya finds her, and it seems like she knows her. Huh? When Anya touches C2, they're sucked into C's world, and her true identity is revealed. She's Lelouch's mother, Marianne. She's alive. She restores C2's memories and asks if C2 is still on her side. But how is she even alive? Never mind that now. Something bigger than all of them has been set in motion. Chaos ruins all around the world begin to synchronize. Schneizel signs an official ceasefire, and Zero is pronounced to be dead. At the same time, Suzaku discovers that Schneizel doesn't think Charles is fit to rule. If he shouldn't be ruling, Suzaku can just kill him. All Schneizel needs to do is give Suzaku the order to assassinate him, which he does. It looks like Lelouch and Suzaku both have the same goal. The two head to the Chaos ruins in Kamine Island to find Charles and end his reign. Suzaku gets there first, but Charles doesn't have time to waste on a small fry like Suzaku. He enters the Sword of Akasha, leaving the battle up to the Knight of One. The two battle as Lelouch makes possibly his most dramatic entrance yet. Lelouch commands his Chaos Britannian troops to attack their own people, causing chaos. With the Knight of One distracted, Lelouch follows Charles into the Sword of Akasha.
But it's not God you need to settle things with, Charles Z. Britannia.
But first, he seals off all the exits from the sword, trapping himself and his father in the sword to suffer together forever. In episode 46, Lelouch and Charles finally have their epic showdown. Charles plans to create a world where there are no lies, and joining him to carry out his plan is Marianne, Lelouch's mother. Lelouch is in shock. He's been fighting this war to find out who killed his mother, and this whole time, she's been alive. Well, kind of. See, Charles and his brother V2 grew up in a world of lies, death, and betrayal. They swore they would rid the world of lies to make it a better place for the future generations. Marianne and C2 also agreed to this, and the four worked to study the power of the Chaos. If they could figure out a way to use the Chaos on the entirety of the human subconsciousness, then they could remove the human's ability to lie. Except their plan had a flaw. V2 became jealous of all the time Charles was spending with Marianne. That fateful day, V2 had Marianne tell everyone to leave, including Cornelia and Jeremiah. It was all a trap, a setup to get Marianne alone. V2 gunned Marianne down and planned to make it look like it had been the work of terrorists. He even set up Nunnally to act as a witness, using the Chaos to change her memories. Wow, that's messed up. In her last moments alive, Marianne's own Chaos activated. She gained the power to move her consciousness into the body of another, a little girl named Anya, who was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. After that, all Charles could do was clean up the mess. He sent Lelouch and Nunnally away to Japan. Marianne found out she could communicate with C2 in her head, and they fled the country too. And they rewrote Anya's memories to remove any trace of what happened that day. It was all done to protect them? Without C2, Charles and V2 couldn't finish their work on the world Chaos. Until now. Charles and Marianne claim that they want to make the world a gentler place. but it's too late to stop it. The process has already begun. Lelouch refuses to give in. A world where humans lose their free will isn't one that's worth living. Lelouch believes that forcing your own will onto others is no different from evil. Ah, the irony. How will he stop this from happening? If he can't use his Geass on Charles to stop him, he'll just have to use it on the entire human subconscious. The Geass activates in both eyes as Lelouch reaches his final form, and he commands humanity to give him tomorrow. Charles and Marianne fade out of existence, and the Sword of Akasha collapses around them. Wow, what the hell? 1 month later, Lelouch declares himself the 99th Emperor of Britannia. Nunnally is found alive, and Suzaku is sworn in as Lelouch's protector, the Knight of Zero. Lelouch uses his newly awakened ultimate Geass power to secure his rule over Britannia.
All hail Emperor Lelouch!
Clearly, this dude has learned nothing. Or has he? In episode 47, Lelouch has completely reformed Britannia. He abolishes nobility and turns everyone into his slaves. Wow, he just did a complete 180. What is he up to now? He's plotting something called the Zero Requiem, and Suzaku is backing him 100%. Suzaku takes out everyone standing in Lelouch's way and supports his new role as emperor. Lelouch requests to join the United Federation of Nations, the very union that he created to go up against Britannia. What the hell is going on? A special conference is called at Ashford Academy to vote on whether Britannia gets to join the UFN. If they let Britannia in, then it will have the most votes in the union and basically get full control over the entire thing. The UFN presents Lelouch with a choice. Lelouch's answer is nah. He's got another idea. Why doesn't he just take control by force? Suzaku crashes into the school and Britannian forces attack Japan. Then he takes all the leaders of the UFN hostage. See, Lelouch doesn't actually want to be part of the UFN. He wants to control the entire world. As all the nations rally together to fight Emperor Lelouch, he gets a call from Schneisel. He might be a Britannian, but he refuses to accept Lelouch as his leader.
The one who's truly best suited to rule Britannia is right here.
He chooses to follow a different leader. Nunnally is now officially Lelouch's #1 enemy. What will Lelouch do now? In episode 48, Nunnally assumes her role as Lelouch's enemy. She knows that he's Zero and that he's done terrible things. She might be blind and crippled, but she can still fight and put an end to Lelouch's tyranny. Schneisel is going to use the Fleya against Lelouch, and Nunnally will be the one to press the button. Schneisel's plan might just be a little more ambitious than Nunnally realizes. He wants to completely destroy any nation that opposes Britannia with Fleyas. Cornelia tries to stop her brother. Only a god could control the entire human race.
Only a god could pull that off.
Then I shall become a god.
Schneisel shoots Cornelia down for trying to get in his way. Jeez. Is everyone in this anime secretly evil? Over the next 10 days, Lelouch prepares for his battle against the rest of the world. He's in too deep to back down now. He boards the Avalon airship with his hostages, and the final battle begins. The fight is like a giant chess game, except everyone is against Lelouch. He's fighting against his brother's forces and against the Black Knights, his own friends who have stood by him the entire side. At his side are Sayoko, the Special Corps, Nina, who he kidnapped, and the ever-loyal Orange Boy. Suzaku holds the front line defending Lelouch from ace pilots Kallen and Shinke, but his scariest opponent is his own sister Nunnally. She's willing to do whatever it takes to stop Lelouch. At Schneisel's go-ahead, Nunnally activates the nukes. Episode 49 continues the massive battle against Lelouch. Even though he has the entire Britannian army at his command, he's no match for his own own Black Knights and literal nukes. Avalon begins to fall, along with the hostages inside of it. Black Knights board the ship to fight one-on-one. Lelouch had Nina and the Spec Ops working on something, and now it's time to abandon ship. Lelouch says goodbye to Nina, Sayoko, and the others and heads out in a nightmare frame to meet Schneisel in person. Shinkei arrives later to find all the hostages safe and sound, and waiting to be rescued. Lelouch flies towards the Damocles in his Shinkiro. Schneisel aims the Flea directly at Lelouch's mech, and Nunnally fires it. Now's the time to reveal what Nina and the Corps have been working on. Suzaku flies in on the Lancelot and grabs the bomb straight out of the air. Lelouch is safe and free to board the Damocles. No problem. Schneisel has a new plan. Escape the Damocles and destroy it, trapping Lelouch and Nunnally on board. Lelouch knows Schneisel too well though. As soon as Schneisel steps into his escape ship, he realizes he messed up. Lelouch knows that Schneisel doesn't play games he can't win, so he predicted his actions. Lelouch doesn't think Schneisel's vision for a world of fear and control is the right one either. The people of the world deserve to have hope and happiness, and so he appears in person on the ship and grants Schneisel a fate worse than death. Lelouch traps him under his Geass control. Now, all he has to do is stop the Damocles' self-destruct sequence, but for that, he needs the key, and Nunnally has it. Lelouch finds Nunnally in a garden on board the Damocles. He tells her he's here for the key, but she refuses to give it to him. Then, she breaks through Charles's Geass with her willpower. She opens her eyes. Nunnally can see again. She's the true final boss. Episode 50, Re, is the thrilling conclusion to Code Geass. Lelouch faces off against his little sister, his entire reason for being alive. All around them, their friends are fighting for their own reason. Kallen and Suzaku fight for what they believe in. Shinkei fights because he has something to protect, and Nunnally fights to stop her brother from doing evil. She wants to let the Damocles self-destruct so that people have something to hate, but Lelouch can't let her do that.
Hand over the Damocles key to me now!
He takes the key from her and leaves her lying on the stairs, helpless. Lelouch has control over the Damocles now, Schneisel, the entire Britannian force, and the all-powerful Flea weapon as well. There's nothing left to stop him. 2 months later, Lelouch is the supreme ruler of the world. He leads a parade through the streets of Japan sitting on a mobile throne, with Nunnally chained at his feet. He's transporting prisoners of war, the Black Knights, to be executed. The parade is halted when someone appears in the way. Could it be? Yeah, it's Zero! Or rather, it's Suzaku, dressed as Zero. He lunges towards Lelouch's throne, sword drawn. Before all this, Lelouch and Suzaku made an agreement. Zero is more than just an expert tactician and leader of the Black Knights. Zero is a legend, and people need legends. The Zero Requiem, Lelouch's final mission, is Lelouch's own death. Zero will be a hero, and his legacy will give people hope. Geass is like a wish, giving people what they wanted to achieve their innermost desires. For Lelouch, that wish was for power, and now he's ready to die for the world. After all, the only ones who should lead are those prepared to die themselves. Isn't that what Lelouch always said? Suzaku, as Zero, kills Lelouch. Lelouch tells Suzaku that as punishment for killing him, Suzaku has to live as Zero. He accepts. Lelouch falls down to where Nunnally sits. She understands his ultimate sacrifice and declares that she loves him.
Lelouch the demon is dead! Free his prisoners!
In the aftermath of Lelouch's death, life finally starts to improve. The prisoners are freed, Nunnally becomes empress, Kallen resumes her studies, living with her mother once again. Suzaku stays by Nunnally's side as Zero, her protector. Villetta, now pregnant, marries Ogi. Cornelia and Guilford both survive and reunite. Shinkei resumes his role as the Empress's protector. Anya regains her memories thanks to Jeremiah's Geass Canceller. She and Orange Boy now work on an an orange orchard. Orange boy, that's adorable! And C2 embarks on a new adventure to new lands. After trying so hard for so long to die, she's finally ready to live. She thought that the Geass would be a power that would condemn Lelouch to a life of solitude.
I think maybe that's not quite correct.
Wow! What a crazy ride that was. Anyway, feel free to click the link on screen to watch another one of my videos.